Welcome everybody to week 2 of the Gold Team League here from China, and there are still 7 more weeks after this one, but already things are getting a bit worrying for Suning and for World Elite who are playing here. Every team seemed to send out their star players last week, but this is a good one. Brox has good pedigree in the Masters Tour circuit, getting 7 wins in Bucharest, getting very close in that event. We were keeping an eye on him all the way through. 6 wins in LA, 6 wins in Arlington, also very powerful performances. Yuansu we know a little bit less about, but he did get 7 wins in Masters Tour LA. The players in his Chinese team league showing how powerful they are once they get the opportunity to compete with the current state of everything being online. So Suning have brought Mage, Priest, Demon Hunter, which is Band, and Warrior. And World Elite have bought Warrior, Rogue, Demon Hunter, which is also Band, and Priest, and yes, the Caster's Nightmare. I have said the word Priest twice, which means there is a possibility of a Priest mirror, and if I'm solo casting a Priest mirror, I might just go and get my tea and let you guys just enjoy watching what is going on. I'm sure you fine people will not mind me doing that. There's also going to be the entertainment factor of me casting Priest in a foreign language if I do make a mistake or two. I'm hoping not to, but please bear with me if that happens. I don't recognise every picture in Golden when I can't read the text, and that is just a thing that's going to happen. I mean, I should do, but the Golden occasionally throws me. And also sometimes you generate a card, you just... Embalming Ritual, anyone? Anyone? Yeah, good luck. So... we're not there yet, though. I'm making my excuses well in advance as Brox and Yuansu go to battle here. The Priest will generate so much value later on that Mage would like to try and get the board, but it's one of the things that stopped the Mage from being a top tier deck, is it tends to just react, and then eventually get the board. Thought still generating there already. Malagos and Ice Barrier, we're good so far. Because those cards started in the deck, so I know what they are. But yeah, the Mage will be looking for a chance to reverse the board state and insert a whole chunk of damage to the opposing face, and maybe try and end the game that way. Despite the fact that Reno is indeed amazing, the value generated isn't always what you want it to be. It's a bit sporadic. Whereas minion after minion coming out of the Priest Galacrond, yeah, sure, some of them aren't the minion you really wanted, but there's always some value there that you could at least do something with. And you have a lot more control over when and how you do it. So, first problem here for Yuansu. Obviously, you polymorph your opposing problem. He will be looking for a time rip here. It's also very nice if you can invoke your Galacron, but it's not essential to get it all the way up to 4, which is level 3. So, yeah, we're talking levels here in the Gold Team League. Which makes sense, as Galacron has 3 different levels to worry about. And this is the problem that Mage faces. Sure, it can deal with these, but you don't want to blizzard them. And everything else seems like it doesn't really even cope with them. I think you want to get the Astromancer down, personally. Try and get into your good stuff. Try and get into your Solarium Prime. Maybe get some stuff going that way. Not a whole lot going on in the hand other than that. You don't really want to blizzard this. You might need that a lot later on. You don't mind taking a little bit of damage. Priest isn't going to beat you with a 3-2 and a 1-2. Tend to want to keep the coin before you do play something big, as the Mage. Excuse me. The options are few and far between for getting that coin to do something amazing, so you want it to be good. And next turn looks pretty good for it. Deep Freeze. The 8-drop in the hand there. One of the ways that the mage can sort of reverse the situation. And I would be expecting Deep Freeze to be a strong option here, and then followed up by trying to find some removal. Power of Creation now gives Brox an interesting option, because he can try and follow up one with the other, and if there's no mirror on the side of Yuansu, and it is a legendary, maybe Brox just beats him down. Just to see what he decides to go with here. It's a close call, because he can just freeze everything up. Does seem decent to me. And then you can take a view of how they choose to try and defend it, and worry about the rest later. Alright, so he's still not sure. They flicked both cards there just to make my life even more difficult. Oh, but that's a beautiful power creation. Double Evasive Worm. An Evasive Worm is just not the... Yeah, bit of a smile on Yuansu's face there. Like, what am I supposed to do about these? Well, without a Soul Mirror, you're going to have to take them on with minions. So, Shield of Galakrond. I guess there's the double Storm there. This is a possibility. Breath of the Infinite. My brain equates it to Lightning Storm, because my Lightning Storms always do too. Double Breath of the Infinite. Are there really many other cases where you're going to need Breath of the Infinites? Make some space in your hand by using them both at the same time as well. Mage, not renowned for its small little piddly minions. The problem with Double Breath is you pass it back to Mage for another chance to play another 8-drop. And so with that in mind, Yuansu has decided to try and fend this off with a Shield of Galakrond. See if Brox has an answer. Now Brox won't want, in an ideal world, to polymorph yet. There is the problem of Apotheosis coming down on a minion later, healing all the way back up, and undoing any good work that Brox might get done now. So rolling Fireball does become an option, but it will only do... It'll only kill a 4/7. That's not what you want. You want to roll through a board of irritating minions. Things like Veil Weavers, cards that are small but doing a good job out there. And Blizzard obviously involves trading away one of his Evasive Worms, which isn't where he wants to be. These cards, if they can connect 3 turns on the trot, for instance, that's lethal damage. Hearthstone's so easy when you get reductive about it like that. So he does choose to polymorph. Not a decision I think he took lightly, but I think... Yeah, he's now decided he's just going to try and end it in the next 2 or 3 turns. It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for him. Sethek Veil Weaver. A big time pickup here. Not going to do a whole lot now, but will help to cope with any future incursions by the enemy. Combination of value and tempo that it can gain you, just chewing through 2 or 3 cards a turn. Has Apotheosis in hand, so he will be able to generate more cards. And he will start to be expecting big stuff to come down about now as well. So this Shadow Word Death, that I believe that is in hand. Death and Pain always look very similar to me. That is a death. Yes, I have got the images loaded up next to me, just in case. But yeah, if something big comes down, then the death will be useful. And this is where he does go with Double Breath of the Infinite. Clearing up the board. And Mummy needs 5 more minutes, so grabbing the board back. Still a long way to go for lethal, but doesn't matter so much against Mage. You don't have many things to clear up. You do have a puzzle box to worry about, so you'd rather win sooner than later, because who knows what's going to happen when the box happens. But for the time being, Yuansu just about got a grip on the situation. Both sides haven't got the hand they want. Brox with a load of reactive humdrum. And Yuansu not really going to be able to react to too many things, but again, that Sethek Veil Weaver could well turn out to be handy. Time Rip, a really nice pickup here. Play your Sethek, rip some time and see where you end up. Feels like a good place to be. Okay. Double Sethek's an even better place to be. So a Psych Split is the other 5-drop in hand, if you heard me clicking around there. It's the one that copies a minion and makes it bigger. So how many Setheks you're going to have in the next couple of turns, who knows. But Yuansu is in a position to generate a lot of cards. And with the Thought Steeled barrier from early in the game, he's on 28 health as well. Was important to get that barrier down reasonably soon. He was facing down the prospect of a little bit of burn. The mage deck doesn't do a lot of burn, but it can generate burn. You don't want to be sat there on 5 hoping they trigger your barrier when you're trying to survive. So yeah, getting it down before things get to an emergency was important there. Reno Part A. Yeah, and I think Brox has decided this is it. He's got to push for tempo. Yuansu has been using pretty horrible methods to deal with boards. So yeah, put 10 attack down there and just try and end the game. You've chipped away. But now Sethek into Time Rip undoes quite a lot of that good work. Apotheosis. Not used in conjunction with an attack. That can be a bit of an issue. Just because it means it won't do its thing. It's... Oh. And the Divine Shield there on Siamat, meaning that no health gained at all. When I say it wasn't going to do its thing, I meant over multiple attacks, but not gaining any health, quite a big deal there. And Yuansu is down to 18. He's got deaths and ways of generating more removal. Yeah, and he does play the card I was talking about there. So here they all come. So we'll generate 2 more cards with that in mind. Smite as well. Oh no, it's not Smite, it's an Inner Fire, so still generating 2 more cards though. And in absolutely no danger for the time being. And that's a Radiance on the right hand side. That's 5 more health to restore. And Brox's strategy of kill you now hasn't really got it done, so he's going to need another plan. Plenty of value in this mage deck, and with Malagos in hand, with Puzzle Box still to come, still ways of getting this done. But the mage may have to retreat to plan B, and we all know what plan B is in mage. It is, I'm going to play box and close my eyes. But he is still tidying up the remnants of plan A. which is I'm going to kill you. Yeah, you've got to deal with Setha. You've just got to. You don't have enough minions to be messing around and letting your opponent get loads of free cards. Wild Pyromancer was a card that was played in Priest for quite a while. I think it was Zanananan who declared that the card didn't belong. There were a couple of people messed around with it. It looked like a really good way to dominate early boards, but it turned out just to be not good enough in general. Brock's not a million miles away here. Remember that Malygos Fireball is a thing he might be able to get, but it still isn't set up lethal. And you've always got in your mind, the Priest has drawn half its deck, you've seen one Apotheosis, there's a decent chance they've got the other. So if you just launch everything to the face without taking care of the minions, they can Apotheosis and just gain so much health back. It's what makes the Priest deck so irritating to play against, because you know they're defenseless, you just want to hit them. But you do have to remove minions over and over again. Extremely irritating. Penance should be a good pickup. Obviously, some good options available here with the Wild Pyro, with Penance, with the Save Breaths. Just gain 3 health. Ah, it's so annoying. By the way, I'm not biased against any of the teams. I'm going to admit that I will tend to be biased against Priests. That's not through any deep-seated hatred of Priests in general. It's just through the fact I like to go to bed sometimes. But, you know, jokes aside, if it was a joke, Priest has a lot going on at all times. You start off the game with a strong, functional deck, and you end up the game with a lot going on that you weren't really sure what it does or how to use it, and it can lead to some opportunities to outplay people. And the problem here for Brox is soon he's going to be the defender. Like, it's 17 apiece in terms of health. And he just about has some sort of control of what's going on. But that's going to change soon. Very soon. Excuse me, just one moment, but yeah. Trying to work out if he thinks he can fireball this out. This is kind of what he's been playing for a while. Yeah, and I don't think he's convinced, but he feels it might come in handy. Obviously, doubles up as a good removal spell. It's not just a way to end your opponent. But obviously, you've got a bit of warning here if you're Yuansu that might be coming. So, going to take care of what he can, which isn't much right now, actually, because he does have his own Malygos that he thought stole on turn 2, all the way back in the midst of time. And at any point, he might draw Galakond, which would be a big deal, especially as Brox has decided that this is his time. So Galakond and Soul Mirror are the two things he's worried about here. We can see that neither of those exist. There are various ways to tidy up most of the board should it happen, but it will be a hand emptying job for Yuansu. Brock's trying to work out if there's any reason to believe that the mirror exists. How much has he been challenging the board the last few turns? What reads can he get from the ways that Yuansu has chosen to deal with boards? If he can get the read that there is no mirror, I think he'll just stick or Galacron, he'll stick the lot on the board. It's a hard read to make. It's an easy read for me to make. They ain't there. I can see the cards. But reading it from the other side of the board is incredibly difficult, and that's superb play by Brox. I can't stress enough. This isn't just like waving his hands in the air and saying, let's hope it works. And if it is that, it's because he feels that's the only way to win the game. This is straight up saying, I don't think you've got it. I think this is my best chance to win the game of Hearthstone. And honestly, I don't think he's wrong. It's been difficult because both the Setheks, or the 3 Setheks, did generate some value. Yeah, Brox knows what this means. You mind flay the thing you're going to kill off because it's big. You mind flay it first because you're going to kill it off. But there's some serious oof here. Gotta kill some things. Otherwise you're just dead to the fireball. So yeah, kills off everything, and as I said at the start of the turn, even though it didn't win the game, it was a hand emptier. Brox now has the news that mirror isn't there. I think it's fair to say mirror would have been used that turn rather than dumping all that's hand. Maybe not. Maybe not. Especially when you know that Brox's remaining minions tend to have bigger health. So mirror doesn't kill them, but it does also put stuff in the way. And I feel like we're getting to the end of the line for Brox. One more board, but where's it coming from? Do you want to just drop an Alexstrasza and hope it gets there? I think that would be another strong play. You can't just aimlessly do it, but you just saw, what, double death and a Shadow Madness? I like it. I like it. He's just saying, I don't think you can deal with it. And I know you'll be able to deal with this stuff soon. I know you've only got 11 cards left in your deck. And this is very strong from Brox. He is forcing reply after reply after reply. But he's not just doing it at random. Like, a much easier turn to play there would have been the Mana Saber. So, knowing that this is his opportunity, and of course the card tip defender, knowing this is his opportunity to get over that finish line. That's a wretched Reclaimer that Yuansu's hovering over, destroying a minion, returning it back to life with full health. Exactly the job it was built to do. Is sorting out this Mind Flayer and generating an 8/8 that it stole when it came into play. Just out of range. And now where do you go? Feels to me like you have to put the 8 into the face, play the amazing Reno, and rely on a bit of fortune. You can deal with the board other ways, but if Amazing Reno keeps the board clear for you for one turn, then your Mana Saber play does make a little bit more sense. He's going for the freeze, he's going to try and get it done next turn. Okay. Much better than what I was suggesting. Just dead to so much here. It's Malygos time. There's the polymorph he was looking for, I think. Generates 3 cards. And that's it. Couldn't get it done. Malygos Fireball for 8, ping for 1. Lovely work there from Brox. And I think Yuansu knew that he had to dig for more stuff there. The polymorph was fine, but that Malygos Fireball had been held back a long time there by Brox. And takes a strongly earned 1-0 lead. And Brox wins without the box, which is also nice to see. But now it's Warrior time. It's last hero standing. And here comes the Warrior. Let's have a look at the exact build of this deck. So this is the standard lineup, but it does, instead of eggs, it's got the 2-injured Torvirs. Does have a Grom, which a lot of decks last week did not. Double Corkron. And everything else is pretty normal and as you would expect. And plan against Mage, do a lot of damage, and one of the interesting things is what to do with your Corkron Elite. In general, you want to save it back, win with a combo, but sometimes, I'm just going to cut myself off there. If there was another caster here, they would cut me off right now. Has the opportunity to coin out Armorsmith here, and next turn just rage it up and play Rampage and have a 6-6 and just see how many times it connects face. That sometimes gets frozen down a little bit, sometimes it gets pinged away, sometimes it dies over 2 or 3 turns. But Brox knows exactly what this means. This is literally a one-hand situation. I guess your opponent might do this with Corsair Cash just to smooth a curve, but not really. The reason he sat back like that is he knows exactly what is coming next turn. And with that in mind, he plays the Astromancer Solarian just to try and put something into it. The problem with being reactive is Yuansu now knows that's what's coming and maybe gets to hold off a little bit. He can change his mind, he can bump in, just play the Sky Captain and move on as if nothing to see here. Because now putting so many cards into making a 6-6 does not get you there. No, don't like this. I know I can see the hands, but don't like. I like the original play, I like the fact you went for it. But Brox has shown you that he knows what you're up to. It's easy for me to sit here in my ivory tower looking at this double Ray of Frost into trade, into I have lots of cards and you have 3. And I really liked the fact he went for it on turn 1. I think it's one of the ways that you just destroy Mage. Make an early 6-6 is so fantastic. But when your opponent replies with Solarian, and it's a strong opponent like Brox, I think you have to give them credit for this. Not necessarily this exact play, but for the fact he can kill your Armorsmith over 2 or 3 turns. I guess if he kills it over 3 turns and you get 18 in, I guess maybe that's okay. And it's not the end of the game. It's just you've used up good resources, so now a combo kill is very unlikely. And you have to do it the hard way. But this deck's very good at winning games the hard way. Having no form of weapon, however, is a big deal. It's not just the removal that you get from the weapon. It is the value, whether you get Ankar and start drawing all those pirates out your deck, whether you get Live Wire Lash and start just generating lackeys. That's where a lot of the deck's value comes from, in these games of Hearthstone, where it doesn't combo you down, where it doesn't make a massive board early. These are the ones where the warrior can struggle. And this is a huge game for World Elite. Going 2-0 down in last hero standing when your opponent still has left their own priest and their own warrior. Not at all where you want to be. Bone Wraith just holding up the board here as well. Brox trying to work out whether it's worth bothering to freeze up this turn. Next turn he does have Dragon Caster. Just stopping myself there in case there wasn't a dragon in hand. But yeah, does have Dragon Caster into Deep Freeze. And if you can get Water Elementals on the board and active, they've got to get through these taunts first. But if they can get Water Elementals on the board against Warrior, Warrior doesn't ever attack. I've just explained how important those weapons can be. That's how the mage wins this game. They're hard to remove with Risky Skipper and other shenanigans. Warrior ends up putting lots of its value into just killing the water elementals. It's already wasted some value on turn 1 and 2. Well, not wasted, it did deal with some stuff, but you know, didn't get what it'd like to, didn't optimise the plays, which is what Hearthstone's all about. And again, this is where you're missing the weapons. You'd love another 1-drop here to set up a future version of Risky Skipper into Bomb Wrangler, into another minion, get some bombs going off, get some damage in, get some things removed. Again, water elementals, that's one of the ways to deal with those. But for now, Yuansu does have none of that going on. Rolling Fireball, not ideal. And yeah, just sticking with the play we talked about last turn. Mercenaries give more options. Second War Maul is often nice, but you really want that to have been buffed in some way or form before copying it. 1/8s on their own, yeah, they hang around and wait for good cards, but don't forget, already 2 of those buffs have been used. Here's the option to go for a Risky Skipper, Corker and Mercenaries on turn 8. That at least gives you 8 points of burst, but that's a long way off and you have an immediate problem. And so, yeah, he doesn't like this, but concluding that this problem is too difficult to deal with, that he has no solution to it, and the Hearthstone time-honoured answer when you have no solution. And by the way, I just want to compliment his positioning there, because otherwise his Fireball would destroy everything. But yeah, when you have no solution in Hearthstone, the time-honoured answer is go face and somehow hope I kill you before your overwhelming advantage beats me. And it's a really weird looking play, and it should alert Brox to the fact that he's a long way in front. Your out as warrior is get them to 12, play Gromash, enrage it, and oh look, I've killed you. Alright, not scared to use the Fireball to only kill 1 minion, because look at what it sets up. I think we'll see 2 attacks to face here and then decide what to do about the war. Oh no, he's taking both minions out. I thought he'd only take 1 out. But this is fine. As long as you get the face freezing, you're doing well. keep your minions above 4 health, then they're not going to get killed off by the risky skipper. But Yuansu did plan this last turn as well as a removal option. Loads of bombs. And is still on 32, so it's alright that Brox can freeze this lot up. You can do that for 1 turn. He would love to play Reno after the freeze, but there's a turn to fill between now and then. Doesn't look like Yuansu can get it done, but maybe he can. Maybe those bombs do just enough. My instinct is saying that you... It's tough, actually. My instinct is struggling slightly. I think you have to freeze this turn, but it's a case of which 4-drop do you want to use. You really want to freeze into that Reno, as I was saying, but Conjurer's Calling might be pretty good here. Doing it first, that way he might not need to freeze. Really not an ideal calling either. Nearly went for another one, but in the end decided he's got to use the Twilight Drake instead. Trying to generate another skipper would be ideal. Yeah, Brox just sits back there. I think it's... There's not that many pirates at all. My brain went to 14 there, but 14 sounds too many. And Yuansu's been forced to start trading into things, which now does set up Frost Nova into Reno, which deals with a lot of the problems. Still nowhere near your Grommash finish, but you're nowhere near getting killed either. Definitely worthy of note. I'm trying to work out what the benefit is in holding back, particularly the Corsair here. Saving the Wrangler for a potential another skipper, I can see why you'd think about that. But going into turn 9, you want to get that damage out there, I think. He's aware that, you know, he's out of stuff. Not only is he out of stuff, but when you run out of cards, Warrior has quite a lot of disguise value normally, and has got none of that. Of his 18 cards, 5 of them draw a weapon next turn. There's the double Corsair Cash and 3 actual weapons. And a weapon would represent a lot of damage. So is Siamat a red herring here, or is it what you want to do? Everything is, in theory, calculable here, at least percentage-wise. But it's not easy to do, this sort of math. In fact, I'd say it's impossible. So you have to use some sort of instinct. Yeah, go for Siamat. And should be in a really good spot here. And so we'll start by putting a bomb into the Twilight Drake and seeing where he stands, I should imagine. You don't have to save the mana for the Brute, right? Normally you want to play it before you kill the injured minion, but 7 mana and 6 are exactly the same when your other option is press your hero power button. And I want to put a bomb into the Drake and see what it hits and how much damage it does, and then make my play from there. Okay, that's about the worst possible option. Now you've got to decide if you're going to put a Brute into Siamat, you want to put another bomb into the Siamat. But I don't think you do, because if the bomb then hits Siamat for 1 or 2, you've wasted it. So I think if you're going to kill the Siamat, you put the Brute into Siamat first. do the 5. Oh, I haven't checked. Is it 5 or 6 damage from the brute? That makes a huge difference. Sorry. Anyway, holding it back. Not wanting to get renoed. I know that the nerfs took place around this time. And before the next broadcast, I will find out the exact date so I don't make that mistake again. Although the dates in China may have been different, I'm not sure. The problem here for Brox is he knows that weapons are coming. This is ridiculous how long it's gone without any sort of weapon for Yuansu. So just playing the cheaper of the two Renos, the Relicologist. If a couple of bombs hit you for 4 and you, of course, that cash is picked up, you just lost the game. He could do with healing up, so he wants to play the other Reno, but your warrior opponent has just kept a card back and done nothing. I think you can expect that card to be in a rage or something like that. I don't think you expect it to be the brute. It was a good keep back by Yuansu to tempt this out. So yeah, the brute is still a 6-8. So we are still pre-patch. Which means that most of the things I said last turn were garbage. Don't mind admitting this. But now the Relicologist. Oh, and Zephyrus. I think Brox will want... will he just keep the Zephyrus to wait until he needs to heal? Oh, he hit end turn. He smiles. There must be a teammate like off to the side or something. Looks off to the side and smiles. Misses 5 damage from the Rocketeer by hitting end turn. That's the sort of mistake I make on ladder, but when you're blasting through some games trying to improve that legend rank or get to legend, or in my case get to silver. Do it in a hurry, press end turn, but really he should know better as a experienced tournament player. Tyrion, because that just stops everything. And when Mage gets to play taunts, has stabilised at 16 against Warrior, that's kind of the game over signal, because the Warrior's final fling usually involves a Grommash to the face in some way or form, or 2 Corcons to the face, and taunts just mess with that entirely. It's how Priest gets the job done. Like, don't die, don't die, don't die, and then go into turn 9, turn 10, where the combo starts to exist. Just get something taunty up. It doesn't even have to be good. Usually a Shield of Galacon, but any old rubbishy taunt will do. Of course, the Warrior, if the game is still going by this stage, is usually very low on resources. And this battle really goes back to turn 1 and 2, where Yuansu made the, I feel, correct decision to coin out the Armorsmith. But Brox recognised exactly what that represented and challenged it straight away. I mean, he may have done it anyway, but it was a long think. It wasn't just, here's my 2-drop, I play it on 2, which he, like I say, he may have just done that anyway. But I'm sure that he realised what it represented. His facial expressions gave that away, and realised that if he played the Solarian, then Yuansu couldn't really respond with making a 6-6, but he went ahead and made the 6-6 anyway. And this game has been dominated by that decision. Just realised I've cast, I think, 7 of these, where I've been making sure I list the decks beforehand and so on, and the decks are just listed on the left-hand side. Told you we were going to learn this together. Well, everybody could have told me. Folks out there, as Brox takes a 2-0 lead. And this is bad news for World Elite. I know being 2-0 down in general is obviously bad news. That's how 2-0 works. But they're already 0-2 in the league. Not as bad as if Suning were 2-0 down though. They'd actually lost their first 2 matches 3-0. So imagine if they lost 3-0 again. But running through the lineup with Mage, we've seen already one player do that. Let me just see if we can work out who that was. Not sure. Maybe Bunny Hopper. He may have reverse swept with Mage. Seems to ring a bell. You'll hear some rustling as I go through my notes. Rustle, rustle. I'm actually just scrunching up a piece of paper and checking online. No, Bunny Hopper did go through with Mage after being 2-0 down. So it can definitely get it done. Now let's get through the Rogue, which is a very different sort of game. Just constantly annoying you. So very important for... Well, a few things are important here. First of all, the Rogue needs to get some generation going. Whether that's a Togwaggle or a Galakond. It's going to need those cheap cards because Mage is very good at playing one really, really powerful thing a turn. So to combat that, you want to play 2 or 3 medium powerful things a turn and try and get something to stick. And you can see this is going to go a while because Brox has got the hand that just kills things over and over again. Yuansu quite happy there to just use his mana efficiently. Plays Galakon, yes, it's wasted a card, but you get a card back. One that often would be much more use than it is now. And Rogue just has to use mana all the time. He's going to defend it. Amazing, isn't it? You buff your own minion and then bounce it back to your hand. That is what efficiency looks like. Apparently. Brox is at the mercy of the next turn here. And you never quite know if that's good news or bad news when you're playing against Mage. It's great, you get to do your things. Generate a load more lackeys. I'll say about that generation, this is another good part of that. But the downside of what it's... Oh, don't worry, there is no downside. That evolve has made everything wonderful. I was going to say the downside is that your opponent can just wipe it all out in one go. And the rolling fireball is still pretty good here. Especially with the backup of Reno, the Relicologist, on the next turn. And then you'll just find a way on turn 7 to survive. But yeah, this evolve has made a big difference. Right, what did we learn last week about the mummy? The generous mummy. That's right, you never play generous mummy. Yuansu knows this rule. He plays the obvious on-curve card, hits his opponent in the face and moves on with his life. Playing generous mummy is just a no-go. Problem with the way that the Relicologist works, so it sounds great, it does 10 damage, there's 11 on the opposing board. Wonderful, you kill nearly everything. The problem is it's the thing with the highest health that survives a large majority of the time. If you picture what happens when you get down to, say, the last 3 pings, then they all end up having to hit the big thing for you to have a chance. The last ping you're at best ever 50-50 and not usually. Yeah, and Brox is a bit upset about that, but that's just hugely the favoured outcome. He didn't have much else going for him, though. But Yuansu has now managed to generate an actual board. It's kind of the first time that the minions have actually been menacing. Yeah, you've got an army of 1-2s and 1-1s. Nobody actually cares, but these, oh, you care. Crucial turn for Brox. You can see that next turn, going into Power of Creation and Deep Freeze turns, probably a very good situation. But needs to get there with some health intact. Rogue always manages to get a little bit of damage to your face. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. Probably trying to work out what Zephyrus would give him. Got to admit, I'm not sure. I don't think it'd give you Brawl in this situation. Looks like he has a plan. Plan to get a spell that does something seems to have failed. And again, what would Zephyrus give? Would it give you a Consecration or Holy Nova to get rid of 2 of the 3 minions? Either way, Brox has decided to use some resources for the short term because his long term looks pretty good. Gonna start getting into those. I keep on about them, but Power of Creation turn is so important. It usually gets you rush minions, taunt minions, all that stuff that you need right now. But one of the best answers to Power of Creation is in Yuansu's hand, and that is Flick Skyshift. It'll kill both of the things. Deep Freeze doesn't really look like it's good enough to me. Like, even without being able to see the other side. But either way, they both generate 2 of a kind. And with, I don't know, 9 damage coming through next turn from Yuansu. Just Flick Skyshift making Brox do it all again could be enough. So can Brox dodge this and play some sort of... I mean, Siamat taking out the Wolf takes a lot of attack off the board. It actually takes 4 attack off the board. So a rushing Wind Fury Siamat cleaning some stuff up would be good. Gonna go for Consecration Holy Nova. But this is a valuable resource used up. If you're using your Zephyrus to clear this board, it's why I was investigating other options. This isn't likely to get it done. At least not on its own. Kalagos into Puzzle Box or something might get it done, but this current situation is not likely to get it done. Every time, by the way, Rogue starts a turn with Backstab, fear goes right through you. You know that Edwin Van Cleef is usually not far away. On this occasion, Brox is going to get the good news that he's not there. No, not that card. Not going into turn 9. What about Reno? What about Kalagos? No. You just give them a chance to kill it and all your other things. In case you haven't realised, I really strongly dislike Generous Mummy. There's a reason it's not in starting decks as a tempo card. And the reason is, when you play it, you lose. And we had some good examples of that last week. I think every time it's played, just the next turn was absolute disaster. And I shall never be forgiven. Of course I will. As a caster, every mistake I ever make is on stream. So I have to be a bit careful as to... Yuansu has managed to get himself a decent looking hand here. And joking about, oh, not joking about Generous Mummy, it is really bad most of the time. But should it come down to it, it is still a decent minion that can be played. If your opponent especially gets a bit lower on hand size, you wouldn't want to play it now for various reasons. One of the good things about playing against Mage is a lot of their stuff costs 7 and 8, so if you don't reduce them below 5, they still can't do 2 things in a turn anyway. But even so, I don't want to see it played. And I'm going to rant about it because we saw somebody play it twice in a row. Yeah. I'll calm down now, honest. So this is much better than the way I wanted to do things by playing Siamat last turn. Picks up Kronks and instantly reaches for the Galakron. Everything about this looks great. That final damage coming from Kronks is a reason to build this wide board as well. Being able to buff all your minions, often into lethal. You want to take care of this Siamat. You're reasonably sure there's no Reno, and if there is, look at the hand, you just do it all again. Again, one of the problems with Mage is that's the downside. You quite often let your opponent just do it all again. And this is why you didn't want to have to use Zephyrus earlier. Because you want to use it about now. But the problem being he wouldn't have got to about now had he not used it most of the time. Only 7 on board, so should he choose to say Deep Freeze Face, wouldn't be dead as he saw it, although he knows that with the amount of lackeys in hand, he's probably dead. It might be Kalagos into nothing. Kalagos into try and find a box. I'm doing well, right? I'm not mentioning the box very often, considering how often it is used. But this was really good. Intellect into a solution. Well, I say solution. A stalling device, at least. Yuansu's problem here is... there's not much of a problem. The problem is I have too much to do. He doesn't really want to put anything in that last board spot. Wants to leave that open for Kronks to be able to do so much next turn. But he's got Shadow Step, he can make board space if needed. So that's not a problem. He's actually going to stunner this back and get the 5 to face while he can. Again, he has the Shadow Step if needed, so... okay. Will he push this? I don't see any reason to... oh, there is reason to, because Kronks into... Kobold Lackey, which he doesn't have, is lethal, but okay. Either way, I don't think it's going to make a huge amount of difference. Looks like he's going to take this one down. So yeah, refusing to Kalagos actually. He'll know the maths better than me. Give him the benefit of the doubt for knowing that there's not many things he could get there. No. But this isn't going to get him there. Huh. The trouble here is, even if you manage to survive this turn, how do you actually win this game? Yuansu just makes another huge board. But you don't know that. Like, it is your duty when you're playing in a tournament, especially in a team league, to try and find a way. But yeah, you're dead on board. You're allowed to concede in that situation. It goes to 2 games to 1. The Rogue getting it done. But there is Warrior remaining for Brox. I imagine he'll be queuing that up faster. You can say Warrior destroys Rogue. There it is. Okay, mulligan decisions. Do you or don't you keep Sky Captain? Challenges the early board, doesn't do a lot else. Mercenary doesn't work too well against Rogue because you get flicked so often. In general, I throw this, but I can see it's worth a bit of a think. And to be honest, we can see it might not matter what he does. Yuansu's hand is like a foot. Yep, Brox going for the full lot, looking for Corsair Cash. And when you get Corsair Cash, everything becomes lovely and wonderful as the warrior. Just having 3 swings into the nonsense that Rogue throws out is so huge. The stuff you generate matches the stuff they generate, and your early game is just better than theirs. Deckhand also a really good generation here. Just going to remove something else. So, what do you do here? Playing a secret seems like something you have to do, but how do you get that the right way around? Well, your opponent's likely to cash. They've still got coin. But unfortunately, neither of your secrets are dirty tricks. Oh, this is just brutal here for Yuansu. Just Corsair Cash on curve. This is where you're supposed to be getting some sort of board against the warrior to have much chance. Because you have to get that damage in there. I guess building up for Togwaggle is a thing. Wow, how would you like to go about this, Brox? When do you want to use his Battle Rage is a key question. When do you want to use the Bomb Wranglers is another quick key question. Not yet is the answer I was looking for. Because of the exact setup of this hand, we might see early skip a Bomb Wrangler here. Oh my goodness. Bomb Wrangler and just use Deckhand. Set up a Bomb Wrangler so next turn you can just go skipper nonsense. Deckhand taking out a 2-2 feels like that's its purpose in life. But you've got a weapon that can do that perfectly comfortably, so maybe you don't bother. One of the great things about playing against ambush as a warrior is you always have that 3 attack weapon. And he now knows it's ambush. He's tested for the other 2. Sorry, he now knows it's bamboozle. He's tested for the other 2. Yeah, you've got double Wrangler, and you've got a chance next turn to do all kinds of damage with Skipper. Holds the weapon. No reason to use it till you get another weapon to back it up in hand. Sometimes you'll use that second charge up because you're so likely to get another weapon. But when you've already used the Corsair Cash, I guess there's only 3 of your 21 cards fetch you weapons. And he's got a lot of options next turn, so it doesn't need to generate a lackey. Another reason to use your second charge can be if you need a dragon urgently to fill out your curve or something. But Brox has plenty to do for the next couple of turns. He is looking for a massive Battle Rage next turn. Actually, that's the reason he could have used the weapon. Massive Battle Rage into more weapons. But maybe he just doesn't want to waste the tempo of having to play another one. Talking of tempo, Yuansu grabbing as much tempo as he can right now. Getting ready for the Togwaggle turn in 2 turns' time. What would you like to do? So, second secret is dirty tricks or ambush. I think you test first for one. Maybe play the deckhand to test. The trouble is, if it's ambush, you've got ambush bamboozle, that can be really difficult. You might want to start bombing things. So maybe you start with a skipper. Okay, there is the ambush. And he's going to take it out with a weapon and see what happens. The rope is going, and if something weird comes from this, and that's something weird, that's something that can mess with your plans big time. And he's just sticking with the plan and hoping it all goes okay. It's going to be fine. Bombs were not successful. So you work backwards here as Yuansu. Next turn you are playing a Kobold Lackey and a Togwaggle. If your opponent plays a Mercenaries, you abort that and you play Flick instead. Is there any reason at all? Okay, so how do you deal with the bombs? This is good. If the bomb hits and kills, you might not have to put your face into, the Wrangler anymore. And that was really well worked by Yuansu there. Just the ordering. Makes everything nice and easy for him. Actually a tough choice here. You average 6 drops better than 4 or 5. Might as well. I think you want to put a lackey on the board. Yeah, I like this. I don't think the average 6 drops massively better than 4 or 5, but I think you do it. You don't have many better targets. Right, Brox, you've had a great start, but things are about to turn the corner next turn. This is the turn that Brox needs to make hay, otherwise Togwaggles and things are going to start taking over the game. Imagine the way this is looking, the way he's holding that mercenary, we're going to be looking at a massive battle rage here. Well, massive, a 3-point battle rage. It's big enough battle rage. And I don't think this is how he saw his future at the start of this game. Having to mercenary a Tolvir. And actually that pickup is just not that great. Yeah, this is interesting because if he wants to play the Faceless Corruptor, he can actually just get a grip on the board to some extent. But you don't want to delay Togwaggle. And actually the way it works out, obviously, is the Faceless in hand alongside the Wand next turn. So 3 and 5 is 8, that's good. He's going for that plan. Right, Brox now knows the bad news that he's been Togwaggled. And next turn will be a bad turn for him. So this turn needs to be a board grabbing turn. Well, that's unfortunate. Mana Wraith shutting down his plan to get the deckhand down. This is still a lot of damage. He does have Cork on Elite, Rampage, Inner Fire in hand. That's 9. With the weapon it is 12. He has actually set up lethal. So all you can do is sit away. He knows his turn's going to be horrible. The turn after the Tog turn is almost like watching a Yogg-Saron go off, to be honest. You just sit there. And the bad thing about it is it's coordinated. Your opponent's choosing what to do. But yeah, that lethal is sitting in hand here for Brox. And Yuansu doesn't know that, but he does know there's a lot going on. He hasn't seen any of those key cards. He knows from his own game with the early Armor Smith, you know, how powerful this is. And he'll be desperately trying to get a taunt here, but no taunt is forthcoming. And this is such a frustrating feeling when you are reasonably aware that next turn you're probably dead. I'd like to have seen a cat first here, actually. But you've got to get your actions done. It's more important to get your actions done than get them right when the rope is burning like that a lot of the time. And this is just going to be lethal. Brox taking the win. The first winning for Suning in this tournament. But World Elite slump to... I don't know what word I was going to end up with there. Slump to 0-3. Brox is delighted. Yuansu will get another chance later in the week to get them off the bottom. But for now, Brox will be celebrating, apparently with his axe.